So opt for the launchpad escape here. Rainy and Nolly, though, waiting to see whether or not they can capitalize on Cringe's early woes here. Volko doing what he can to provide some cover fire, see if he can get his duo out of dodge. And for right now, seems to be a success because Nalu definitely on the ropes here. Cringe going to start to make a revisit, but it turns back to their favor. Rainy and Nalu, just like that, come out on top, but at the same time,
all it takes is one person to look up and a whole nother team to shockwave. Anything is still possible, but Peterbot's gonna go down. Poyo faced with a little bit of trouble as he falls as well. 4 teams out of this lobby, digging into their heels. Relatively low to no materials. They're gonna need a miracle.
Cammy doing what he can to create a little bit of separation from where some of that low ground congestion is at, but Izzy knows it. Disaster, they've been getting pretty active here, and it's Braids that they'll look to claim. Virgo even taking that Mythic Shockwave launcher for himself. Could pose a big threat towards Sharkantini if they're still holding down the high ground, but for right now, Virgo Shadow wrap around and the surprise banger onto Z-Dog. That's gonna give them their opener to take over frontside low.
He is just taking names and crossing them off the list one by one by one.
His hand to play a little bit more passive early. They don't want to unnecessarily expose themselves to finding a too early of a departure.
And honestly, what I've noticed though is when looking at the leaderboard between games and even kind of seeing it here, is out of our top 10 after that first game, we had 5. We had 5 teams from the quote-unquote smaller regions, and that's why almost all weekend long leading up to this, I was
trade with Hari, just solo for solo action.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, but we have 10 games today, so they got 8 more opportunities to try to rise up the ranks. Edson down towards the side, Edson trying to keep their run going. Vico and Malabuka
as a heartbeat. All it takes is one good shot towards Sharkantini, force them sort of get a little bit more entangled with where the rest of the chaos on the background. They're just cutting teams off every which way. Shadow and Virgo going to find themselves also being cleaned up by the lobby.
Yeah, Retro is going to be the one to take down. Chris goes down. Romero's getting elimination, but Vico and Malabuka are holding tough from that position. Shots coming in from all angles, but they're not slowing down, but neither is Pablo up until now. He's gonna fall, but all of those materials quickly going on over to Cheeto. He knows this is the last hope that he has in this game. He's one of few solos left alive in a world full of duos.
And it doesn't help that it's Vico and Malabuka who are just overhead of him. Fortunately for Cheeto, he'll be able to evade their vision for the time being, but Malabuka, there's the first chop. He only has 2 bills though. He's going up. He's trying to match Teeny, but Teeny getting the better end of this exchange. They'll get some more damage than Malabuka shields. Teeny though, the moment that he turns back down, Mally can't hang. He's taken out Shark with the follow-up to protect his IDL.
Takes a huge bite out of the competition. That is their high ground. Beware if you look to take it, even Vico's gonna fall. A delay wash shortly after. Our final 4 teams and Shark and Teeny are on the mountaintop yet again. They're on their throne looking down. Teeny's gonna drop. They almost have no choice. No builds left. This is anybody's shot to finally end the run. Teeny's gonna fall. Shark has only hope to go to the backside of zone, and it's NA West that takes him down.
Retro feeling really good about this one. He just needs to close out against Tomat because Bofu no longer.
The next day, and then who knows when it comes to match point final, but this is already heating up and so entertaining. But I think
they're holding down the high ground. Why it's been so problematic for a lot of other teams to kind of even navigate through those lower layers. But at the same time, Jacob, if we keep seeing shakeups like this in back-to-back, okay, look, we're talking about, though, Poyo, but what we just witnessed out of Shark, 2 quick eliminations. All you need is the 1 elimination. Then you can keep trying to recycle farming those reboot opportunities, and that's exactly what Malabuka is trying to avoid here. But Nalu just not letting up on the pressure. Malabuka already in a rough spot, given that he just came back into the lobby after that early exit. So Mally hoping that somehow, some way, somebody can get a bailout opportunity on him.
Oh, yeah. Nope, not this time, Nalu. Rainier going to tape down Malabuka. starting off here in the same box. But you can see Leiwa, Romero, with so many other teams waiting for them to make a mistake.
And Rainey's just not having a good time right now. Izzy and Nosif heads up play, doing exactly what a team on height needs to be very proactive about, shutting down those rotate opportunities from teams trying to leverage off of the launch pads and sending it towards
Down
height.
below, they have a sliver of HP left. Right decision for them to make, but it was just a little bit too late. Nosif is able to clean up that elimination. As of now, but already at the course of the game, they move up into 6th place, passing Z-Dog and Goofy. Cringe, Voco, they're still having the same early game fights, just a whole different team. It's Nalu and Rainey this time around. They get that first elimination.
Alabuka, though, he already had his fun at the end of it, Jacob. Getting those 3 eliminations was a very nice start to the lobby. Nomad don't really seem to notice that he's actually rather close by. They're a little bit more fixated on just making their own rotations. Again, just another one of those teams, international representation. They've managed to secure a top 3 already in today's competition. Just 1 or 2 more of those, and that could be what sets them up.
Again, kind of thwarting any plans that they had, and even more so now with Epicwell is able to get the knock on the Teeny. Cannot clean it up, though. Shark is able to at least save him for now.
And Shark is hoping that he could maybe get a little bit of wiggle room to try and go for a 3 to revive, but it's too late. That slight delay was all it took to prevent him from having a full run of it with Teeny, and that plan has now been thwarted. That's going to also overexpose. Peterbot's going to drop from height, but he'll have no issues whatsoever. Reconnect.
After what I was kind of prefacing there is, I would like teams to play aggressive. If you're not necessarily inside.
Just the way that he is carrying himself, he wants every single element. Could be next.
That's the thing about Reload. Kind of just get tossed and turned, flipped upside down, shockwaves, crash pads, launch pads. Anything kind of Chinpoyo that have just made their way in.
Things can definitely get a little bit dicey. Trying to help with the supportive measures, but Shark, he is just relentless with the pressure, just constantly bearing down, refusing to let Khaled even have the slightest operating space to actually get a little bit of feels going. I'm sorry, gonna have to take up that offensive front. But
before we go on over to Slurp Rush, so you gotta really make these moments count. Because a whole different map, whole different contestation as Retro gets dropped off here outside of the top 15, outside of placement points.
And Vico, Malabuka just doing a great job at tarping overhead of ultimate.
Make sure nobody could lurk up for free. Nobody could shockwave and try to close the distance without being noticed. Chino, Pablo, they get noticed from up above. Peterbot and Ploy, they were the ones who took away their high ground, and they're the ones that are being persistent to try to get them out of this lobby. Down below, Braids out, Reckless gone. Chino has finally been dropped by Peterbot. Pablo tries to backtrack to get the Siphon Map, but he gets cut short as well.
There's still just so many solos left kicking underneath, but Shadow, Virgo actually playing from the backside of the zone. Now gonna start to make their entry point, but Pete's already scattered them out. That's a huge chunk out of Shadow's HP. They're gonna be so weak encountering a lot of those teams underneath where Pete and Poyo are currently at, and Pete still just trying to line up the shots. It's probably a couple of moments, and Vico gonna be shut down. Malabuka, Vico, they wanted to go for height. Malabuka's still gonna try and get the chop, but the damage has already been done. Pete got exactly what he wanted.
That was just a huge shot from Pete to stop them from trying to take the high ground. Even though they got chopped, they're still holding on to their momentum. Looking down, Nalu's the next in their line of sight, and so many others. They're waiting to see where the zone forces him out, and this could be their opportunity to strike, but he's able to continue moving down below, but he ran into Muzz. That one gets cut short, and it's just forcing player after player into interaction down below, and Romero's gonna be the one that reaps a little bit of reward, taking down Boko and getting the loot.
2 solos, 1 other duo, and Romero